Hey, we found the arena. For as long as I can remember, the Undying as a card has always been a very popular card to build a deck around in Legends of Runeterra because it's designed really well. It's really fun. You see it and you naturally think, okay, that's neat. What can I do with that? How can I abuse it? That's just always been and always probably will be, and that continues on today. So naturally, when the new set arrived, some folks were tinkering, and on day one, I played against one person that was trying to take on a new archetype. Now, traditionally with the Undying, it's called like the Aristocrats. That's what the community kind of dubs this style of deck when you're trying to abuse the Undying, and specifically a championless build. And we are doing that with the new arena. So we're going to go not Demacia Shadow Isles, which is, you know, the old school builds, but we're going to be playing Noxus Shadow Isles today so that we can abuse the new arena landmark with our Undying. So I'm going to go through the list that I'm going to be playing, and then we'll play some games on the ladder. Right out of the gate, 2 Ravenous Butcher. This should be pretty straightforward. Easy way to kill your Undying. That's also a great way to kill Cursed Keeper, which we are also running. And you get a nice body for free, basically, because you're going to be investing in those other cards. Also, even though Cursed Keeper had the Abomination nerfed a couple of patches ago now, it's still an explosive start to go Cursed Keeper into Butcher on turn 2. So we got 2 Butchers. I didn't want to go all out because you want to have something to kind of chew up with Butcher, but I think 2 is fine. All right, 2 Cursed Keeper, again, interacts with Butcher, interacts with some of the other cards that we'll be looking at later, like Bladed Caretaker. And then I wanted some more early game just to kind of shore things up, and I've actually toyed around with a couple of different builds. So other options if you are not a fan of Grenadier in this 2 slot, and I'll talk about why I'm picking Grenadier as of right now. Demolitionist makes sense because you don't mind if you deal the damage to your Undying. So this is just like a 2/3 that deals 2 damage to the Nexus if you have Undying on the board, but it's not really an on-curve play necessarily. And then the other one that I originally started with was Stirred Spirits, because this is a great way to fuel deaths on your Undying and make it that much more terrifying to deal with. It's also a great on-curve play, but the reason that I'm going with Grenadier is this is still great on curve. It's also got that last breath trigger, so you can, you know, make use of it with Arena. You can get some extra burst damage in if you are killing it with, say, Noxian Fervor. But specifically, I'm going with the Grenadier because it's kind of always good. There are times where, believe it or not, you will play Stirred Spirits, but you actually don't want to support your Undying on your attack turns. And the reason for that is because, again, we're building kind of around Arena. So in the later turns, you'll want your Undying, hopefully it's big by then, to fight your opponent's units to pull them off the board. This becomes a form of board control for you. And if you are using Stirred Spirits to grant Ephemeral to your Undying so that you get the deaths, suddenly your Undying is not the unit that's fighting with the Arena. So right now I'm going with Legion Grenadier. Stalking Shadows, this is great because it gets you hopefully multiple copies of your Undying unit. Also means that you basically get 2 copies because the first one being Ephemeral kind of doesn't matter, right? So if you play the Ephemeral copy, it's just going to die and come back buffed. So this card, it's great in pretty much every Shadow Isles deck anyway, but it's great as well here. I'm still opting for Vile Feast in this list simply because the Spiderling as a chump blocker early on is pretty beneficial, and we don't as much care about the Nightfall units. You could run Unspeakable Horror if you want to, but right now this is more about early game chump blocking. Bladed Caretaker, this card's amazing. This is hopefully how you can help push your Undying to the Nexus, because this can soak up some blockers, or you could just use it to kill your Undying and then trade into other units as well. But beautiful unit. 3 Calling Strike. This is a meta call right now because I am still seeing a ton of Tahm Kench and Soraka, and I'm running Noxus, so I'm running 3 copies of Calling Strike. This could easily be shuffled around to be other cards at the moment. I could also see this going 2 and 2 with a split with Scorched Earth, but I'll talk about why I'm only running 1 Scorched Earth at the moment in a little bit. But Culling Strike, meta call. 2 copies of Might, because this is one of the 2 ways that you can kind of give reach to your Undying units when they start to get big. They're very commonly just chump blocked to death in the late game. So Arena is going to help hopefully clear up the board so they can find a path to the Nexus, but Might is another great way to do it. Noxian Fervor, great way to kill your Undying, deals direct damage, really straightforward. 1 copy of Scorched Earth, mostly here for flexibility. It gives you only semi-conditional removal. It's not damage based. They have to be damaged, but this is just kind of a nice hard removal option, but it's also cheap. Now, speaking of hard removal, I'm going to jump ahead here because we already know what the Undying does, and that's the entire point of the deck. So also running 3 copies of Crumble. So we've got 4 landmark destruction cards, but then this card also great way to kill your Undying, get that, you know, slow speed, sadly, but get that kind of unconditional unit removal in the deck. 3 copies of Remitter, because we've got a number of units that we can chew up and just get extra bodies from. But again, you might have guessed it, this is great on the Undying for helping to buff it up. Now, what's also really nice is that on turns where you don't have Arena active, maybe you haven't drawn it, or on turns where you just desperately need a blocker, sometimes on defense, because your Undying units can't block, it's better, even if you have an Arena, to still play the Remitter so that you kill your Undying, you get a unit in return, and you give yourself 2 blockers. So if you are starting to get low in health and, you know, Nexus damage is a concern, it can actually be correct at times to, even with an Arena on the board, go with the Remitter on something like Undying so that you get multiple blockers just to buy yourself time. But this is a staple. 3 copies of Arena because it's our new toy. And then finally, I'm running 2 copies of Atrocity because eventually, if the games go long, these Undying units will get to be massive in size. And much like Might is a bit of a finisher, Atrocity helps you to kind of either get that final Nexus damage in, or in a pinch, it can be removal as well. So this is the list. As always, deck code will be in the video description. I've received a lot of requests to also make Mobalytics links. I did that in the last video. I forgot to mention it in the intro, but I did that, and I will be doing that for this one as well. So you'll have a deck code, or if you're on mobile, because I know it's a pain, there should also be a link to Mobalytics so that you can do that as well. With that being said, let's jump into some games. All right, this might be awkward. This might be awkward. So Fiora Shen is maybe troublesome because, you know, we're trying to make things fight each other, and Fiora, if it kills a bunch of our units by trying to force fights with it, that could be an issue. I think we're going to keep the Crumble main hand here, not mulligan it. As weird as that sounds, just because I also like having potential answers for Fiora. So like this could get stopped by Deny, but outside of that, not much. Culling Strike's also a nice pickup. I mean, honestly, this is not half bad here. Little slow, you know, out of the gate. I think we'll just bank the spell mana unless they do something. another crumble. All right, so
we swim within the flows of magic.
Oh, interesting. I think this is just gonna get to draw a spell. I think. You know what? I take it back. Let's just use Culling Strike here. If I didn't have the 2 crumbles, I would hold Culling Strike as potential removal for Fiora. But I think because we have double crumble, I'm fine with letting that go. Yeah, this is fine as well. We'll go double Undying, swing, and then we'll butcher after the attack. Or maybe we don't. Yeah, we probably still do butcher just because we want one of these to start growing. I was worried about the challenge, but we will have Vile Feast, and then if we try to Vile Feast and they use something to protect it, like that's honestly fine. We've also got a good opportunity for maybe just wrecking this Fiora here.
Try me. En garde.
Interesting.
Counter and strike.
That's really interesting. Wow. All right. Well, we're gonna do this instead. Because they can't double barrier it, so they have to have another health buff of some kind. And we'll also, I guess, try to stop this. Just go all in on this route, and if this fails, then we can just crumble this next turn. At which point they'll just need to have a deny. All right. I mean, we got a single combat out of it. I think overall we are fine with the results of that. So now the question is, do we want that Fiora to be allowed to level up before we attack? I think the answer is no. So I think we slow play this. We play the Keeper, and as much as we want to nuke one of these, I think we actually nuke the Keeper so we can swing with the 4-3 when we play this Crumble. All right, well, let's go ahead and see if they've got the deny. Another single combat here could also be an issue. Concerted strike. All right, that's fair.
Too easy.
Push our damage through a bit. It's only 2 on it at the moment, so again we've got another crumble. So still worried potentially about deny, though. I think we'll go this route now. It's too big for Nopify.
Protect House Laurent.
And that should put us in a pretty good position. Like, they can eat a spider here, which, you know, we're fine with that. We are unbothered if they eat a spider. If they do this, they're also probably looking for a barrier play. Yep. We could use this and force the barrier now before when they do it here, but I think we just hold on to this because that's our potential win.
Hold nothing back.
So the reason that I'm just going to go ahead and skip the block, because that means I don't get to put the barrier there for the pump either. And again, we're just going to set ourselves up for an open attack. Oh, and the Fervor top deck as well. Okay. We should be in a pretty good position to push for lethal here. I mean, they do still have 4 cards and all their mana. So
Nature blesses her followers.
single combat stuff is an issue. But if they have it, I mean, they're just going to gain a bunch of health anyway. There's not really a lot we can do about that. So we do this, wait and see what they have now. And nothing. All right. one game down. Let's go play another. Shyvana, Aurelion Soul. So the dragons are going to be coming at us. I think we throw these back. Because, well, I don't know. I was going to say, because we're kind of like board-based control, we should have an okay mid-game, assuming we can find an arena and an Undying by then. We can get that rolling. I think the biggest issue is I don't know what we do against Aurelion Soul. So we do have things like Vile Feast to try to pop the spell shield and then maybe hit it with something like a crumble, but we're gonna do this as bait. I mean, we've got a lot of options. You could make the argument that maybe we were supposed to Cursed Keeper there and then go into Caretaker. I think we also save Culling Strike for potential Shyvana plays. You know, we could just Caretaker, deal the 1 damage to them, but also crash into that now. I think we're just gonna go with another Grenadier. They didn't eat this.
You're covered.
Who's gonna get in my way?
Okay.
Guard the walls.
Tradesies. Tradesies. So like net result is we are down 1 card in terms of resources, but we gained 2 damage and a spider.
I am more than I seem.
Kind of want to do this before they can get into clutch range. I mean, I wanted to develop the double 2-drops here, but instead we slow play this. Push some extra damage to get our tempo going. The nice thing about Caretaker is that it is also really great as like a backup target for Remitter. So in cases like this where we don't have Undying, once Caretaker does its job, it's just an expensive 2-1 body, right? So if we need to use Remitter here, we don't feel bad about it. And I think we do need to use it just so we can start trying to do better. That's actually kind of nice. Double Fervor actually puts us close to a victory just straight from burn. Like we can take in a potential like open attack. 3, 6. I mean, we have 7 with this chewing through this. So as weird as it sounds, like I know we've got this spicy scout. I don't want them to play another unit after the fact either. I think we just do this. Try to push the 5. Now, it's entirely possible they've got combat tricks. The things that make units fight. But both of these at 4 health also means that they die to that. So they would have to have a buff and the card, and that's our real goal, right? We just need one of these 4 damage units to connect so that we can get there. So I think they figured it out. Well, this actually isn't correct though. If they're gonna do a fight, oh, okay. But we still get the 4 in. So like overall we're fine with that, except all right, so this is very tricky because with 2 mana left, they could have another single combat. And we don't want it to stop both of our... fervors, so we're gonna split them. So single combat's potentially a problem, but turns out not. So victory! All right, wow. So this is what, like somebody just playing with their whole collection? I don't know what's going on here. But normally I only play 2 games per video, but we haven't actually drawn the arena yet, and that's kind of like the entire point, is to show off the arena. So I think we're gonna throw this back because we have the culling strike. We're gonna play one more game and see if we can draw the arena and actually get our combo up and running. I mean, we've got early units, so that's good, including Undying. I think we go this route, because Grenadier is just going to get blocked. This gets some damage in. We don't need to develop Undying next turn, so we can use spell-based removal if we need to. And then also still develop a Grenadier. Our early game hand, I think, is good here. All right, make it. Oh, sure. I think they just really wanted to trigger Plunder. I think that's. I mean, that's the only reason you play Make It Rain there. It's got to be it, right? They just really wanted that Plunder. Are they gonna nab me now? Play some butchers.
Remember the objective.
All right.
The few for the many.
Maybe this is just Pirate Burn, but then they threw in like a plethora of champions just to throw me off. All right, so there's a Might, which is again nice for the reach and the finisher, but kind of hoping we draw an arena soon so we can see what that looks like. That'll end up eating a culling strike for sure. And I mean, I think we just send everything anyway, right? I say, like, if they want to take that block and this block, I'm fine with that. In all reality.
Your path ends here.
Roxas lives on.
Hey, we found the arena. All right, so we are just gonna eat this too, I think, so that we can get our arena up and running, because this will run into this. I mean, Spider can block this if we absolutely need to, so like we're fine with that. So we eat the 2 instead of culling striking it, but Undying will eat this at round end, and then it'll come back bigger at round start. They'll get a Jack trigger, but we get the combo, and that's the entire point. That's why I wanted to play another game. Like I said, I normally only do 2. Oh, and we top deck removal for Jack here, and this is a slow spell, so I'm fine with doing this. I'll do this now before they have a chance to do this. Now they've got plenty of mana, right? So they can play another unit, but I don't want it to be a healthy unit. The stuff in their hand might not be able to survive 2 damage, so. Okay, I respect it. They are just gonna try to burn me out. We should be able to push for 5 this turn though. Then with might after that, we'll be in a relatively good spot. I mean, unless they throw some blocks here. So they're just gonna go with the guaranteed 2 damage. So it's a little worrisome, I'm not gonna lie. A little bit worrisome because that's telling me that they might have burn in their hand. But it also does mean that the officer dies. Arena is establishing that board control. So we're really just concerned about getting burned out.
Explosives primed.
Gonna do this now because I don't want them to declare the attack and get the 1 extra bonus damage. Also gives me the drain and a blocker. Oh, they're gonna go with the keg. So again, this is telling me pretty definitively here that they've got burn. They're choosing that instead. Or maybe they're just trying to keep this alive and they know that I'm running into that. Let's double up as just in cases here. So we're going to use the culling strike, try to keep the spider alive to try to push more damage. But if they have something that makes culling strike not kill this, at least we also have the spider blocker. It's just insurance. And then this eats the keg. We take the grenadier before the attack. That, I mean, that actually blocks a lot of damage.
Victory at any cost.
Or does it? Or does it? This is a bit of a tough call. So technically I get more damage in if I do the spider instead, but the spider could die to like a Hail Mary make it rain, and I want to make sure that this goes off. So we're actually going to do it on this Undying. That still gives us hope for a lethal with might. Or at least pretty close to it. But we did it. We got the arena. We got Undying. So we're getting to showcase it. Oh, so they do hit it. Like I said, the make it rain still prevents the lethal, but the reason that I wanted to do it this way was because I still wanted Nautilus to die. So we get him to 1 with a grenadier on the board. Got the arena locking things down. Okay. We gonna learn today. I'm pretty sure we still lose this. We only have 1 blocker.
Death doesn't scare me.
So we both go to 0. But I think order of operations has us losing because the damage gets dealt in order to kill mine. Thus, I think my Nexus dies and then the trigger would kill them. So we actually lose this on probably like a 1 of Darius top deck, but whatever. We got to showcase the arena and that's all I cared about for the video. So, yep, I was right. Order of operations. Still fun deck, good video.